All right. Namaste. I think you're both already sitting down, so don't get up. We're going to come down all the way onto the floor, onto the back in a moment. Later on, we'll be using a chair. It probably would be helpful to also have a strap within reach, or anything that you can use for a strap. And just have it, I'm just going to put mine on my chair for now, and we'll use that when we are going to use the chair. So again, our back care class, we're going to be keeping our neutral spine most of the time. Even if you don't have back issues or back pain or anything, today it's helpful to be able to do that all the time, just so you're aware of it. And it can help if you develop back issues, to just have that awareness of how you feel when you have that neutral spine. So that being said, we're going to come to lie down on the back. So you can lie down on your side and roll onto your back. I'm going to just use my hands behind me to help me come down and make sure I'm not really rounding my spine or anything when I come down. And then when you're on the floor on your back, keep your knees bent at first. Separate the feet a little more apart, maybe as wide as your mat or so. And let the knees fall together. And at first, we're just going to work with the breath for a few moments. So you can place your hands around the sides of your rib cage. So the thumbs are reaching towards the back and the fingers are wrapping towards the front. And then start to take some nice deep breaths, noticing the expansion of the ribs on your inhalation. And then exhale. Feel the knitting of the ribs together. And then just continue a few more times, inhaling, expanding outward all directions. And then exhale. Everything contracts a little bit and ribs knit together. And you might feel that engagement of the ab muscles as well. Next few times, as you continue, just inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Just blowing the air out of the mouth. Sometimes that sort of helps us access that feeling a little bit more. Just a little gentle squeeze at the end of the exhale. And noticing as you breathe, are you keeping your neutral spine? In other words, sometimes when we exhale, we actually talk a little bit, or maybe feel like we have to round in the spine a little bit. We can exhale completely and fully without changing the position of the spine. So that's why we're working on that feeling of contraction, knitting together on the exhalation. Just a couple more times. And maybe just adding on the exhalation, a little squeeze in the pelvic floor right at the end. And checking, can you do that again without tucking the pelvis? Good. So now we're going to just bring the feet and legs into a parallel position. And then just hug in your right knee towards your chest. Again, checking to make sure you're not causing any rounding of the spine by bringing the knee in. If you do, just let the knee go a little bit. And then start to straighten your left leg on the floor. But we're going to let the left leg just be relaxed at first. Okay, so sometimes when we do this, we are, doing stuff with a straight leg. For a few moments, just let the leg relax as if it's like in Shavasana, right? Just, nice and soft on the floor. And a couple breaths, just gently hugging in the right knee and maybe a tiny bit more. Checking again to make sure you're not coming out of a neutral spine position. And then when you feel like it's getting pretty far in, it's about as far as it's going to go, then straighten the left leg, flex the foot, and push the heel away. And see how that changes your back or the position of the right leg hugging in. It's just maybe going to feel a little more organized when you really stretch that left leg away strongly. And then just for another moment with the right leg that's folded in, think of the sitting bone of that right side reaching away, as if your right leg was stretched out as well. So reaching from the very end of the bottom tip of the pelvis, basically, that's pointing down in the direction of your feet, reaching away with that sitting bone. Good. And then release the right leg, keep it bent, and bend in your left leg. And then we'll do the other side. So hugging in the left knee, just to a moderate degree at first. Then stretch the right leg away, but let it be relaxed at first, like it's in Shavasana. It's just kind of hanging out, chilling out. And then over the course of a few breaths, continue hugging in the left knee a little bit more. Seeing how far you can bring it in without coming out of a neutral spine. Good. And then once you feel it's coming in, it's pretty much far as it's going to go, then start to organize the right leg, straighten it, flex the foot, and push the heel away. And also with the left sitting bone now that's pointing in the direction of your feet, try to reach that away as well. Still hugging in the left knee for another couple breaths. And noticing, can you bring the left knee in even further now that we've kind of organized the lower body a little bit more. Good. And then gently release the left leg. And now we're going to bend both knees. And inhale, stretch the arms straight up towards the ceiling, vertical. Just going to work with the arms for a couple moments. After you inhale, stretching the arms straight up, on your exhale, start to reach back overhead and come down to whatever point you can, again, without changing the position of the back. So the hands might not touch the floor, that's okay. And then inhale back up. And just noticing, what kind of engagement do you need in your core muscles to hold the neutral spine as the weight of the arms might, create a feeling of, maybe you want to arch the back a little bit more to get the arms to go further. Just instead resist that urge and just engage the core. And then we're going to, next time your arms are overhead, just keep them there and keep reaching away, continuing to breathe. And notice how you have to really hold on in the lower abs to hold the arms in that position without changing or arching the back or doing anything else with the back. If it starts to become too much on the back, you can always just raise the arms back up. I'm going to try to stay here another couple breaths. And then finally, next inhalation, bring the arms up to vertical and then bring them down by your sides. Now we're going to do something kind of almost similar with the legs. We're going to keep the legs bent at first. Actually, we're going to keep the legs bent throughout. We're going to walk the toes in. You can lift the heels up and walk the feet in. So the legs are kind of squeezing together. And then just lift the toes right up off the floor. So the knees might be a little bit in past the hips, tucking in a little bit more. I'm going to work with one leg at a time. So let's start with the right leg. You can actually hold on to your left knee. I'm just going to do some toe taps at first. So your right toes just go down and tap the floor. Just a few times just to check out how that feels. And then switch and do the other side. So hold on to your right knee and just do a couple toe taps. Again, doing whatever you need to do in the core to keep neutral spine. And now we're going to do both legs at the same time. So you can have your arms down on the floor, angled a little bit away from you, and now holding on to that lower core engagement. Try to touch both toes down, just tapping without letting the weight of the legs pull you into maybe arching the back or doing anything else in the back. And then next time, you're going to lower the toes down towards the floor. Maybe they touch, maybe they're just hovering off the floor. And for a couple of breaths, we're just going to hold right there. Really working to keep the pelvis from tilting, right? You have to kind of hold on. And then finally, release the feet down. And take a couple moments just to breathe, rest, and then roll over onto one side and push yourself up. You can come up to sit, and then we're going to come up to stand. So if you have your chair handy, you can always use it to help you with balance if you need to as you stand up. And then we're going to come to face the chair. We're going to work on the chair for a good bit now. If you have your strap, you can have it next to the chair, or actually I'm just going to take mine and just hang it over the back of the chair so I know it's easily within reach for when we're going to use it. So if your chair is on your sticky mat, it's probably not going to go anywhere. Since I'm next to the couch anyway, I put my chair against the couch just so I don't have to worry about the chair moving. You can also put it against a wall. It shouldn't be moving around too much with what we're going to do, but I like to have the option of keeping it really stable. So we're going to face the seat of the chair, but actually standing close enough that at first you can touch the back of the chair. So bring your hands to the top of the back of the chair. So you're leaning forward slightly. You can check to make sure you still have that neutral spine. And then we're going to start to walk the legs back just to come to sort of a high down dog position. Maybe coming down as far as upper body in line with the arms. Might not come down quite that far, depending on the height of your chair and whatnot. But this is just a preliminary sort of down dog just to get the feeling going. And then we'll come down with the hands to the seat of the chair. You can continue walking back with your hands lower and see, maybe you can find that kind of down dog feeling in the upper body and the arms. And letting the spine lengthen out behind you. The tailbone lengthening away. And then start to come forward as you inhale. I'm going to come to a standing plank kind of position. So I would say walk the feet in maybe like 6 inches or so. So you're not too far back with the feet. You want to find a place where you can be in a straight body position. Okay, so the heels might come up off the floor and you want to bring your shoulders over your wrists. So we're going to hold this for a moment. Depending on the seat of your chair, it might feel best to let the hands turn out. So the fingers are wrapping around the outside of the seat of the chair, if your chair allows you to do that. And we'll just breathe here for a moment. And then shift the hips back again. We're going to come to kind of in between the plank and the down dog position. So your upper body is angled up a little bit. Oreo's barking at something. Sorry. Okay, so you'll notice I'm kind of in between the down dog and the plank position. So now we're going to start to move the legs a little bit. So start again with your right leg. We're going to bring the knee in towards the chest, but without changing the back again. So notice bringing it in like this might make you feel like you need to round. Let's just bring it in as far as you can without rounding. Keep the foot flexed, and then we're just going to repeat a few times, bringing the leg behind us as if we want to bring the foot up towards the ceiling, and then in towards the chest again. So exhale, bring it in. Inhale, bring it back. So moving the leg as far as you can through your range of motion without changing the position of the back. And next time you have the leg back, just keep it there and try to straighten it so it's going straight back behind you. Point the toes and try to lift the leg any amount more, again, without arching the back. One more breath there. And then bend the knee again, bring the knee in towards the chest. Turn the knee out so that the foot goes towards the opposite side, and you're going to tuck that ankle on top of the opposite knee. So it's a little figure 4 position. And then push back with your hands just a little bit into a figure 4 hip stretch. And one more breath. And then coming forward again, place that foot down. Return for a moment to more of a plank position, so shoulders over wrists, straight body position. And then exhale back, come to that. It's kind of in between place. You could maybe think of it as like half dog. So your heels are down. It's possible to do it more, the whole thing from a plank position with the heels up, but with the heels up, it's hard to keep your balance on one foot. So that's why we're coming to this in-between position. So we can have the heels down. So now we're going to try with the left leg, same thing. First, tucking the knee in towards your chest, checking to make sure you're not rounding or anything, and then bringing the foot behind you, foot going up towards the ceiling. Exhale, tuck it in towards the chest. Inhale, up. And just repeat that a couple times. And then the last time, when your leg is back, that's when we're going to straighten the leg, straight back, point the toes, and then try to lift the leg any amount higher without arching the back and without, turning to that side or anything. So it's going straight up behind you. Really think of, pulling with the hamstring. Try to lift the hamstring, not just the foot, in other words. Good. And then bend that knee, bring it in, and then open the knee out to the side so you can place your ankle on top of the knee of the bottom leg and push back any amount into your figure 4 stretch. Good. And then coming up again, let's walk back one more time to a real down dog feeling position. So feet go way back. Try to bring your upper body in line with the arms so that you can just push back, lengthening the spine all the way out behind you. Both sides of the body equally long. Good, and then coming forward again, walk your feet in. Start to come up, maybe bring the hands to the back of the chair so you can come up to stand in your neutral spine. Good, now we're gonna come to sit on the chair, but we're gonna sit sideways. So I'm gonna start sitting sideways this way so I'm facing towards the camera. And I'm gonna talk us through this with doing the same side as you. So let's try to sit so the right side is closer to the back of the chair. So my right leg is on the chair, and the left leg is kind of a little bit off. So I'm sideways. So that way we can all be on the same side. So depending on your chair, you might need to hold on with both hands on the back of the chair. That's what I need to do for my chair because I feel like if I didn't, it's a little bit wobbly. So we're going to start feet planted on the floor, sitting up tall. The right leg is just going to stay as is at first. And we're just going to start to bring the left foot straight back. So the knee starts to drop down and then point the toes. So my left foot is pointed to the top of the foot is on the floor. And the knee is just dropping straight down towards the floor. So we're using this next couple moments to try to stretch the front of the left leg, stretch the front of the left thigh. So everyone might come to a different place. Maybe just, letting the knee go straight down, you already start to feel the stretch there. You're gonna try to stay square forward. So again, not turning open to that side, and try to slide the left foot straight back any amount. So the knee starts to go back a little bit. And then don't go too far because we always want to check in with the position of the pelvis, especially here. The leg that goes back tends to want to make the pelvis start to tip forward. So we're going to resist that. We're not going to let it tip. So that means maybe the leg doesn't go back as far as you might like it to because we're resisting that tilting. So probably, you have to feel that engagement in the lower abs at some point to keep the pelvis from tipping. You also don't want to feel too much arching in the lower back. So you just want to stop wherever you need to, taking the left knee as far back as you can without tilting the pelvis or anything. If it's doable, you might tuck the toes underneath and be pushing back with the toes tucked on the floor, but only do that again if you're not tilting in the pelvis. And just breathe a couple breaths there, starting to open this quad area and the hip flexor area. Good. After a couple breaths, bring that left knee back in. So it's just pointing straight down. You can have the toes pointed again. And now we're going to try something with this leg, the right leg. So at first, you can see I'm holding on with both hands. One hand's on the seat of the chair, one hand's on the back of the chair. I'm just going to see, can I straighten my right leg, pick the right foot up and straighten the leg straight out? And if I can do that, then I'm going to go to the next step. If it's hard to pick that foot up, go to this next step anyway, because you might be able to do it more easily using the strap. So we're going to open up our strap and just drop it down there and hook it around your right foot. And you don't have to bend over too much to do that, right? You can just drop the strap down and get your foot there. You don't have to bend over to place it there. And now I'm going to hold on to the strap with my left hand and do the same thing. Pick that right foot up off the floor. So now you have the strap to help you pull if you need to get that foot up off the floor. So now the right leg is straight and you have it hooked into the strap. Gonna inhale, sit up nice and tall, and then exhale, any amount start to fold forward. Only as far, again, as you can go, keeping a neutral spine. So as we go forward towards a forward fold position, we often round in the spine. So try to not do that. Try to keep the upper chest open, throat open, soft, and just go forward any amount. And then release, take the strap off your foot. And we're just gonna release the arms a little bit now. We're gonna stay here. Actually, let's take the left foot and bring it in. So we're sitting with both legs forward, sitting sideways on the chair. Take the strap in your right hand, reach the right hand straight up, and then let the strap come behind you. You're gonna take the left arm, turn so the thumb is down, the palm is going back behind you, and then bend the left elbow and grab onto that strap. So both hands are on the strap. And then you're gonna walk the hands closer together. So I'm gonna turn for a second so you can see how I'm doing my hands. So I start off, there's a lot of distance between the hands, but once both hands are on the strap, I'm gonna try to walk the hands together on the strap. So the right elbow is going up, the left elbow is going down. And we're just gonna stay here and breathe. Trying to get those hands any amount closer. Having the hands behind the back, if you tend to round in the spine, is a good thing to do because it kind of encourages us to take any rounding out of the upper back, right? Because if you're rounding in the upper back, especially here, that's gonna force your hands to be kind of farther apart. So if you can move the upper spine into the body any amount, think of kind of almost flattening the upper back, it will bring the hands closer to each other. It doesn't matter if you can't touch the hands because we're using the strap, so you don't have to worry about that. And just take a breath here. Good, and then slowly release. And we're gonna do our other side with the legs. I'm gonna move my chair so I can still be facing towards the camera. You don't have to move your chair if it's okay. You can see fine from where you are, or you can move it and just switch around like I did. So now the left leg is on the chair and the right leg is a little bit off. So at first, just finding that nice tall position in the upper body. Left foot is going to stay planted. And then we're going to bend the right knee a little bit more and let the right knee drop down. And the right foot is pointed, so the toes are going back and the top of the foot is coming towards the floor. So starting to open up that, the front of that thigh, the right thigh. So again, just like on the other side, we're staying tall, neutral spine. Oh, if I have my couch here, I can put my hand on the other side. That's helpful. So starting to slide the foot back any amount, as long as I can stay upright, neutral spine, and not let the pelvis start to tilt. So I have to resist the urge to tilt the pelvis because I feel like, oh, I could go so much further if I could just let it go. But we're not trying to go as far as we can. So we're just letting the foot go back, resisting by holding with the lower abs to keep the pelvis level, breathing, and then optional to flip the foot. I'm just going to show you what I mean with flipping the foot. Optional to let the foot come into this position, going back if you want to, tucking the toes. That puts a little more pressure into the lower back though, so it's not, required to do that at all. I might feel like it's impossible to even do that without, either leaning forward or doing something else weird with the back. So we're trying to stay upright and just go as far back as we can. We're getting a good stretch even if the toes stay pointed the whole time. Good. So one more breath, and then slide that foot back in. Oh, actually, we're going to let the knee just be pointing straight down. Okay, so the toes can stay pointed. The right knee is just dropping down towards the floor. And now we're going to try to straighten that left leg. So just straighten it, flex the foot, check that out. And then we're going to use the strap again. So just take the strap, let it fall down there so you don't have to bend over, and put the foot into the strap. So I'm going to hold onto the strap with my right hand, and again, straighten that left leg. Sitting up tall, inhale, and then on your exhale, start to pull yourself any amount forward, folding towards that left leg. Again, keeping your neutral spine. No need to go to any particular point. You're just trying to fold over that leg while the right knee is still down. If you want to, you can try to slide the right knee a little bit back. Just slightly. The legs are just doing completely different things, right? Completely different, going in completely different directions, I should say. So it's almost like we're coming towards like a splits kind of position as we also are folding forward. Okay, so sit up, release the foot out of the strap, and bring both feet forward. So you're just sitting sideways, both feet planted on the floor. And we'll do our Gomukhasana arm position on this side. So now hold the strap in your left hand and let the strap come behind your head. The right hand is going to reach out to the side. Turn the palm so it's facing back, thumb down, and bend that elbow and find the strap that's coming down your back. And then continue walking the hands together on your back while sitting up nice and straight. Again, thinking of the upper spine, maybe from about kidney level up to the base of the neck. That area moving in to flatten a little tiny bit, and that will allow us to bring the hands closer together. And elbows are pointing opposite directions. One more breath, and then slowly release the hands and take the strap down. We're going to come back down onto the floor. So if you need to, I'm going to move my chair kind of away from my mat a little bit. But bring the strap with you. Okay, and we're going to come down onto the back once again. So I like to use the chair for balance so I can come down without bending over, rounding, or anything like that. And then once you're on the floor, come down onto your back once again with your strap handy. And also, if you have a block, you might want to have a block handy or something, you know, around that size you could use as a block. We might use that in a moment. Otherwise, just come down onto your back once again. And then we're going to walk the feet in. And one more time, hug the knees in. Let's do both knees at the same time now. Just coming in so you can get a little bit of a stretch, but again, not so much that you're going to flatten the lower back to the floor. And then release the feet, legs parallel, feet hip width apart. And we'll just come up to a very low, gentle bridge. Okay, so hands are down. I'm sorry, Peggy, did you say something?
No. No.
Okay. So palms down. We're just going to come up to a gentle bridge. So that means we're not going to do really a back bend. You're just lifting the hips up enough that you feel like you're in line with your upper body. The upper legs and the upper body form a straight line, roughly. And you're just letting that open up. The front of the body open up. One more breath. And then slowly lower down. And we'll grab onto that strap. And lift the feet up off the floor. And get both feet into the strap. And then we're just going to bring the legs up to vertical. So it's not really so much about really trying to stretch the legs too much. Just trying to get them roughly vertical, holding onto the strap. And push the feet up into the strap to really engage the legs. And then slip the right foot out of the strap and bring it down to the floor. And just like we did at the beginning of class, only now the top leg is straight, we're going to engage the leg that's on the floor, flex the foot, push through the heel. And we're doing the same thing with the top leg, pushing through the heel. And also the sitting bone of the top leg, the leg that's up in the air, the sitting bone is reaching away in the direction of your feet as well. And then this part is optional. Any amount that you would like to try to pull on the strap a little bit to stretch that top leg a little bit more, bringing the foot in the direction of your head. Any amount more. It might just go, you know, a tiny bit. That's fine. And one more breath. Then take that bottom leg, bend it in, and bring it up and place the foot back into the strap. So now the legs should just be kind of vertical, not really trying to stretch them too much. You can hold them with the strap so that, you know, whatever position they come to, they're being held by the strap. And then just push the feet into the strap again. And now take the other leg down to the floor. So the one that was up before is going to go down to the floor. And same thing as before. The leg that's down on the floor, we're reaching away, pushing through the heel strongly. And top leg, pushing as well, but also the sitting bone of that leg is reaching down towards the foot of the leg that's on the floor. And again, optional, any amount. Try to pull on the strap so you're stretching the back of the lifted leg. And one more breath, and then release that a little bit. Bend the bottom leg. Bring the foot in, and then bend the top leg and take the strap off. Once again, we're going to come back to our first position at the very beginning of class, the feet wide apart and the knees falling in together. And just taking a couple moments there, letting the legs rest against each other. Taking a couple breaths, and then if you have time, we're going to do one more bridge. So feet should be parallel. Walk them in a little bit so they're parallel, hip width apart. Again, this is going to be a very low bridge, not going towards a back bend so much, just lifting up. But we're going to be using our block. So we're going to put the block between the upper legs on the narrow width. So you're going to be holding onto that block. squeezing the inner thighs together so the block doesn't go anywhere. Again, try to walk the feet in a little bit, nothing extreme. And now we're going to lift up into that bridge again, but squeezing the block. Making sure we're not letting the knees splay open at all when we come up into our bridge. One more breath, really squeezing the block. Imagine when you're squeezing the block, it's spreading across, you're bringing width across your sacrum. The sacrum is spreading out to either side a little bit more. And then lower back down. Take the block out. And do a really gentle twist. So now, again, separate the feet wide apart, maybe about as wide as your mat. And we're just going to let the legs drop side to side. Knees are bent, so the legs are not stacked on top of each other here. They're just kind of doing their own thing. So just go a little bit side to side. You can stay on one side for a couple breaths, or just go back and forth. The knees don't have to touch the floor. In fact, it's probably better to not try to push them down to the floor. Just let them fall to where they naturally just want to go without worrying about where that is. And take a couple more breaths. And then once you've done an equal amount of time on the two sides, whatever that is, or for the next couple breath cycles, then once again, bring the knees up to center. And we're going to move towards Shavasana. If you like this position of the feet apart and the knees falling together, you could do your Shavasana in that position. It's more, I feel, more restful for the back than having the legs straight. However, if you prefer having your legs straight, that's totally fine as well. Then you just stretch the legs away, really make sure they're lengthened out as far as you can get them, and then let them relax. Arms are the same in either position, just turning the palms up, letting the fingers naturally curl. Or any other Shavasana that feels appropriate for you for the next few moments. Just checking to make sure you're releasing any tension from the face, jaw, throat. And we'll start with our centering breath for a few moments. So inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth, very softly and gently. And then after a couple more centering breaths, and try breathing in and out through the nose alone. Letting the breath be soft, natural, all those things, we usually hear for Shavasana, but also trying to let it be neutral, not trying to force it any direction. So you can completely relax. Letting everything go, resting on the floor. And then when you're ready, you can roll onto one side. And push yourself up to sit. Namaste. Thank you so much for doing class with me today.
Susie?
Yeah.
I do have a question.
Okay.
When I lie down, you know, my back doesn't go flat onto the ground. And I can make it if I, you know, is that supposed to be my goal, is to make it be flat, or should I just?
No, it shouldn't. I mean, depending on what we're doing, I mean, in this class, I would say don't try to make your back go flat on the floor.
Yeah.
Especially the lower back. It naturally should be away from the floor a little bit.
Oh, it should? Okay.
Yes, it should. Yeah, because your back is naturally curved in that direction. So that's part of, you know, when I talk about the neutral spine. I don't say this.
That's the spine? That's a neutral spine, is when it's got a little curve?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, everybody's back is a little bit different, but in general, the lower back is curved into the body and the upper back is curved out a little bit. That's normal. Yeah. So that's why I always say neutral spine instead of like straight, because it's never going to be perfectly straight. In fact, if it were perfectly straight, it would be a problem. It would like be not good. Yeah.
All right.
Depending on what we do in different classes, sometimes you'll hear a teacher say like, you know, flatten your back to the floor, or, you know, in certain poses, it would naturally happen. And there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as it doesn't cause you pain and you don't have like a herniation. Like people with herniations in the lower back, especially, they have to be, those are the people who have to be super careful not to flatten, because that could actually hurt. Yeah. Oh,
okay.
I have to officially end class, but we can